Welcome into part 2. I thought we'd begin this session by talking a little bit about the boat. The Cayuga is a 42-foot steel narrowboat built in the same tradition as the old British narrowboats. However, this one was built in New York State. As we enter from the back, we find a double bunk on the left with a bathroom and wash basin on the right. A little further along, we have double bunk beds. And on the right, we also have another bathroom, and we've got the side hatch. Nice to look out of. Next, we have the kitchen on the left with a lot of counter space and a sleeper lounge on the right. And up front, we have a real nice spot for an evening drink or your morning coffee. So we start our return journey in Lockport, New York. Lockport is one of the more famous towns along the canal, known for its several locks in the original design. In this picture, on the right, we have the new locks, the modern locks, one up, which you can see in the foreground, and one down, which you can't see in the back. The old 5-lock staircase is on the left, half of it is on the left, the other half being removed in the modernization. A staircase lock, or a double lock, means that the chamber of one part of the lock empties directly into the chamber of the other. Here in this historic photograph, you can see the 5 original locks, 5 up, 5 down, each one entering into the next one in a staircase fashion. So why Lockport? The Niagara Escarpment begins in southern Canada and runs all the way into western New York. At the famous falls, it's 180 feet high, but here it's only 70 feet high. So the original canal engineers figured they could accomplish that with 5 locks, and that's what they put in. Another interesting feature in this area of the canal is from this position, if you spin around 180 degrees, you see this. From the orange barrels in the distance to the camera position is all a bridge. Everything you see in pavement is a bridge. Going under it on the canal can be quite daunting. A nearby walkway shows the original canal lock numbering, with some historic displays nearby explaining how the locks were originally built and how they operated. So away we go out of the lower lock chamber, heading east on the canal. The water line in the lower chamber is clearly visible on the sidewalls and at the gates. As we move further out of the lock, you get a sense of just how huge a structure this really is. Seen from this angle, you can get a sense of the height of the upper chamber. The water extends from the concrete sill at the bottom of the green gates all the way up to just below the top. Quite a bit of water. As we exit the lower chamber, the doors to the lower chamber become visible. It's not easy being a lock caper. Look at all those stairs. A little bit further on the right, just past this building, you'll see the old 5 staircase locks from the original canal. Half of them are preserved as a historic artifact. Since we're talking locks, I thought it would be interesting to show how this works from a crew standpoint. Here we're coming into lock 33. This is not a double lock, this is a single lock, which most on the canal are. In each lock chamber, ropes or cables extend from the side walls of the lock. The boater hooks the lines either with a hand or with another rope, and this helps steady the boat in the lock chamber. Sometimes a bit of jockeying with the engine is necessary forward and back to keep the boat steady as water drains or enters the lock. This part of the sequence is in real time, a rather fast descent, It's up to the lockkeeper as to how fast the water enters or leaves the lock chamber. As the big doors at the bottom of the lock swing open, the ropes fore and aft are released. The bow of the boat is gently moved into the center of the channel, and the boat exits the lock at a slow speed. It's considered very poor form to create a wake in the lock. The highway bridge at the bottom of this lock has nothing to do with the actual lock structure. It just happens to be there. Another structure along the canal is what's called a guard gate. In this unusual configuration for this one side is down and one side is up. Mostly they're all up or all down. Guard gates serve to keep the water in the canal at a predictable and respectable level. There isn't supposed to be a current in a canal, so boats can go both ways with equal ease. However, if runoff from stormwater would impact the canal, the guard gates can be lowered to protect all the infrastructure along the way. The guillotine-like appearance of the guard gates makes them a bit intimidating to motor under. Our stop for this evening will be the historic town of Medina, New York. The docks at Medina are just a block off the main street. This provides access to anything going on in town. When we were there, there was a festival going on with musicians on every street corner and sales in the shops along the main street. Medina has two unique features in the canal. The first can be seen on the right, which is called Oak Orchard Creek. This creek is about 30 or 40 feet below the canal level. Canal engineers had to bring the canal in over the creek and then provide for a 90-degree turn to the north. Their solution was this large bay, which allowed barges to come in, be pushed back into alignment and position to go north, and then continue on their journey. Medina Falls in the center of the picture is actually best seen from this angle. To get right down to the falls is a very arduous hike off of that other breakwall there. From looking at the top of the falls, you can see how much below the canal level that is. This is the best safe view of Medina Falls. It's quite a bit of a walk from the falls back around to our boat. Especially as you approach many of the smaller towns along the way, you find the upgraded towpath used by hikers, bikers, and dog walkers. Since the bridge is already up, we'll just go straight on through. If another boat is overtaking you, it's considered good form to pull slowly and safely over to the right and let them on by. I guess motorized vehicles are allowed on this section of the towpath, at least up to the sign and the gate there. I guess they just have to go off into the woods to the left. This evening finds us in the little town of Spencerport. Spencerport boasts a very nice but small dock area, a really pretty church which is coming into the view, and also a top superstore if you're short on supplies, along with a really nice little ice cream parlor. All of that is just at the end of those buildings you see in this shot. Private boaters along the way have told me that there aren't a lot of places like this marina where they can tie up for extended periods of time. Most of the city docks that you've seen allow only a 48-hour time period, and then you have to move on. As we come back to the Genesee River, a dredging operation is taking place. The dredging keeps the channel open from silt washing down the river. The tour boat Sam Patch operates out of Pittsford, New York, and takes riders through a lock and up and down parts of the canal, narrating the history along the way. Both around Pittsford and Fairport, many fine houses and gardens line the canal, some quirkier than others. I don't quite understand how, if you've got canal front, you put the house so far away and have no dock. Sorry, I couldn't resist one more drone shot. Fairport will be our stop for the last night of our canal journey. You'll notice the bridge here in Fairport isn't like all the other ones. This one had to be custom designed and fitted to the space. Fairport is a very popular stop with docking along both sides of the canal, but a lot of boats, both big and small, tie up there, so docking space can be a bit of a challenge. Fairport is a very historic town with lots of displays, Also, many fine eateries and places to just hang out. Oh, and really good gelato just past the bridge over there. That bridge is really pretty at night with the lighting. Next morning, it's time to cast off the lines, both fore and aft, bow and stern, depending on your preferences. We gently slide the bow past the large tour boat. Wouldn't do to bang into them at this stage of the game. As we come around into the morning sun and into the main part of the channel, we slide by the Colonial Belle on our way back to port. The power lines on the left signal that we're getting close to the end of our journey. It's always good to approach a docking area with a lot of other boats very slowly. In the final few feet, Brian helps steady us against the dock and grabs the rope and ties us up. And that'll be the end of our journey.